There is a war being fought in the quiet corners of your mind, a battle you never asked for against an enemy that knows your every weakness. It doesn't announce itself with horns and alarms. It whispers, it promises. It makes you feel for a fleeting moment like you are about to become whole. And then it leaves you emptier than before, staring at a version of yourself you barely recognize. This force has a name, but the name itself makes people uncomfortable because to name it is to admit it exists within you. And it does exist. It exists in every person watching this right now. That pull, that gravitational force that tugs at your mind and tells you that satisfaction lies just beyond the next thought, the next image, the next chase. But here is a truth that cuts through all the noise. This force is not actually about wanting something. It is about running from nothing. It is the echo of an emptiness you have been trying to fill with things that were never designed to fill anything at all. And the chase is a rigged game. Every time you reach the finish line, it moves further away. So you run, and your spirit grows weary from a marathon that was never meant to end. This video isn't here to wrap you in shame. It isn't here to make you feel broken or inadequate. You are not broken. You are human, wired for depth and meaning, and something hijacked that wiring. But hijackings can be reversed. Systems can be rebooted. And today, we are going to walk through the exact process of taking back control. Before we begin, let the words of the emperor-philosopher Marcus Aurelius settle into your bones. He wrote, "The soul becomes dyed with the color of its thoughts." Think about that. Your inner world isn't shaped by what happens to you, but by what you choose to dwell on. The battlefield is not outside. It is between your ears. And the moment you truly grasp that, everything shifts. This isn't about sheer willpower. Willpower is a muscle that fatigues. This isn't about rigid discipline alone, which can become just another form of self-punishment. This is about a fundamental restructuring, a way of seeing that dissolves the craving from the root, not just suppresses the symptom. The 5 principles I am about to lay out aren't pulled from a generic list. They are forged from psychology, from Stoic philosophy, and from the messy, beautiful reality of actual human transformation. Each one builds on the last. Each one takes you deeper, and by the end, you won't just understand this struggle differently. You will understand yourself differently, because most people get the goal wrong. They think freedom means becoming numb, becoming a statue that feels nothing. But that isn't freedom. That's just a different kind of prison. Real freedom isn't the absence of feeling. It's the return of choice. It's waking up and realizing that the puppeteer's strings have been cut. And that feeling of sovereignty over your own mind is worth more than any fleeting pleasure. So if you have been trapped in this cycle, if you have tried and failed and tried again, if you've looked in the mirror with frustration and whispered, "Why do I keep doing this?" then this message is for you. Every sentence is intentional. Every word is a tool. Don't skip ahead. Don't let your attention wander, because these ideas are a chain, and if you break the link, you lose the strength. So before we take the first step, I need you to do something. Hit that like button, drop a comment, share this with someone who is fighting the same fight. Subscribe to Stoic Mindset Mastery. This isn't just a video, it's a lifeline. I'm glad you're here. This is your moment. Go to the comments now and write, "I am reclaiming my mind." Number 1, the observation shift. Cease the struggle. Begin to witness. The first error almost everyone makes when they decide to confront this internal force is this. They declare war on it. They wake up filled with resolve, fueled by self-disgust, and they vow to annihilate it. They attack. They resist. And for a short while, it works. They feel powerful, in control, victorious. And then, in a moment of quiet, In a moment of weakness, the walls crumble. Not because they lacked strength, but because they were fighting the wrong battle. When you declare war on something, you elevate it. You pour your energy into it. You think about it constantly, obsessively. You become fixated on the very thing you are trying to destroy. And this force, this craving, it doesn't care if your attention is love or hate. It just needs your eyes on it. It feeds on your focus. So the first step isn't to fight, it's to see it with such clarity that its power to deceive you evaporates. This is the observation shift, and it is the bedrock of everything that follows. Carl Jung, the great explorer of the inner world, said, "Until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life, and you will call it fate." You cannot change what you refuse to look at. You cannot heal what you keep hidden in the dark. You have to drag it into the light, examine its shape, understand its voice. Because the moment you truly see a thing for what it is, it can no longer trick you. And this force is the ultimate trickster. Think about how it operates. It never arrives with honesty. It never says, "I am here to offer you a temporary chemical distraction that will leave you feeling hollow." No, it arrives in disguise. It comes dressed as love when you are lonely. It comes dressed as adventure when you are bored. It comes dressed as relief when you are in pain. It wears 1,000 masks, and most people spend their lives chasing the mask without ever realizing what lurks beneath. The observation shift is about stripping those masks away, one by one. Here is how you practice this in the raw moments of life. The next time you feel that familiar pull, that tug in your gut or your imagination, don't recoil. Don't immediately try to suppress it. Instead, stop. Just for 10 seconds, stop. And in that pause, ask yourself a question, not a complicated one, just a simple one. What is the real feeling underneath this? Not the craving, the feeling. Are you lonely? Are you tired? Are you anxious about something you can't control? Are you trying to escape a memory, a fear, a boredom that feels unbearable? Because underneath every single wave of this desire, there is an emotion that has nothing to do with it. There is a wound that hasn't been tended to, a need that hasn't been named. And the moment you name it, the moment you whisper to yourself, this isn't desire, this is sadness, this is loneliness, this is fear, the spell weakens. It doesn't vanish instantly, but it falters. You just pulled off one of its masks, and a mask that has been seen clearly can never be used in the same way again. This isn't a one-time fix, it's a practice. Every time the pull comes, you practice seeing. You practice naming the hidden wound. And over time, the masks run out. The illusions lose their power, and what remains is just you, awake, aware, and no longer a puppet. This shift isn't about control, it's about clarity, and clarity is the first light that pierces any darkness. You are not weak for feeling this. You are human, but you are also someone who now holds the first key, and that knowledge, once gained, can never be truly lost. See clearly, and you will never be fooled the same way again. If this is resonating, type in the comments, "I am learning to see." Number 2, the dialogue with the void. Nourish what is actually starving. There is a hollow space inside you that no external thing has ever been able to fill, and you have been trying to fill it your whole life. This is the part that makes people uncomfortable. This is where you have to stop running and sit down with the emptiness itself. Not to fight it, not to ignore it, not to cover it with noise. To have a conversation with it. Because this force, at its core, is a response to that void. It is your mind's desperate attempt to patch a hole with something, anything, that will make the ache stop for a few minutes. And it promises to do exactly that. It promises to fill you up. It promises to make you feel so intensely that the emptiness will be forgotten. But it always returns, doesn't it? It always returns because the void was never actually filled. It was just temporarily ignored. like putting a bandage on a deep wound without cleaning it. The infection remains. The Stoic philosopher Seneca wrote, "It is not the man who has too little, but the man who craves more, that is poor." The craving is the poverty. The emptiness you feel isn't a lack of pleasure. It's a lack of something far more fundamental. This brings us to the second principle, the dialogue with the void. It is exactly what it sounds like. You sit with the emptiness. You don't run, you don't distract. You sit and you listen. This will feel uncomfortable at first. It will feel unnatural because you have spent years, maybe decades, training yourself to never do this. But when you finally stop, when you become still, the emptiness doesn't whisper. It speaks, and it tells you what it actually needs. And what it needs is almost never what you have been giving it. More often than not, it needs meaning. It needs a reason to get out of bed that isn't just about enduring the day. It needs connection that is real, that requires vulnerability, not performance. It needs purpose, something that makes your existence feel significant, something that ties you to something larger than your own immediate gratification. These are things that no fleeting pleasure can provide. They can only be built, slowly, intentionally, by you. And you can only build them when you stop letting the counterfeit fill the space where the real belongs. Here is how to practice this. Once a day, even for just 5 minutes, sit in complete silence. No phone, no music, no input, just you and whatever arises. And when the emptiness appears, because it will, don't panic. Don't reach for a sedative. Instead, ask it out loud or silently, "What do you truly need from me?" And then wait. Listen, the answer may not come today. Some days it will be silent, but over time, over weeks of asking, the void will begin to speak more clearly. It will reveal what has been missing. And once you know what is missing, you can start to provide it. Real things, lasting things, things that don't leave you feeling more depleted than before. This isn't about achieving perfection. It's about achieving honesty. Honesty with yourself about what you truly lack. Because the moment you start feeding the authentic hunger, the artificial hunger, the one this force has been pretending to satisfy, begins to fade. Quietly, naturally, without a fight. You have been starving for something real your entire life. It's time to finally sit at your own table. If you're ready to feed your soul, write this below: "I am listening to myself." Number 3, the neural rewrite. Change the internal narrative. Your own mind is feeding you a script that isn't true, not sometimes. Every single time this feeling arises, it constructs a story, a compelling, seductive, perfectly tailored story that makes surrender seem like the only rational option. And you believe it because the story feels so undeniably real. But a story is just a story. It is a pattern of thoughts, not a reflection of reality. And here is the most empowering truth about your brain. You can change the story, not someday, in the moment, right in the middle of the temptation. This is the third principle, the neural rewrite. The science of neuroplasticity tells us that the brain is not a static organ. It is malleable. It reshapes itself based on where you direct your attention. Every time you have a thought, you strengthen a pathway. Every time you choose a different response to an old trigger, you begin to carve a new pathway. The old one grows faint. The new one becomes the default. This means the pattern you are trapped in is not permanent. It was never permanent, it was just well practiced. So let's look at how this force constructs its narrative. It doesn't say, "You are about to experience a fleeting neurochemical event that will leave you feeling worse." No, it says something far more seductive. It says, "You deserve this. You've had a hard day. You've been so good. Just this once. This will be the last time." And that phrase, "just this once," is the most deceptive line in the entire script, because it is never just once, and deep down, you already know that. The neural rewrite is about catching that narrative in real time and replacing it with something true, not something harsh, not something that shames you. Shame is not a liberator. Shame is a jailer. It strengthens the cycle it claims to want to break. The rewrite is about replacing the lie with a quiet, honest truth. Here is how it works in practice. The moment you notice the story starting, the moment your brain begins its familiar monologue, you stop. You don't argue. You don't try to out-logic it. You simply say to yourself, calmly and firmly, "This is an old story. It is not the truth." And then you replace it. You say, "I have followed this story before. I know where it leads. It leads to the same place it always does. And this time I choose to let it pass." That's it. No epic battle, no dramatic inner speech, just a quiet, firm redirection, a gentle hand turning the wheel. And every single time you do this, your brain physically changes. The old pathway, the one that led straight into the cycle, gets a little weaker. The new pathway, the one where you witness and choose differently, gets a little stronger. Day by day, choice by choice, you are literally rebuilding the architecture of your mind. This isn't willpower. This is biology aligning with your conscious intention. Now, there will be days when you don't catch it in time. Days when the story pulls you under before you even realize what's happening. That's not failure. That's being human. The rewrite isn't about perfection. It's about persistence. It's about practicing until the new story becomes louder and more familiar than the old one. And it will, because every single time you choose the truth over the lie, you are casting a vote for the person you are becoming. And those votes add up. Your brain has been telling you a story for years, but you are not your brain. You are the one who hears the story, and that means you are the one who gets to decide what to believe. That power has always been yours. Now you know how to use it. If you're ready to start rewriting, declare it now. I am changing my story. Number 4, the anchor. Construct something that holds you steady. Letting go of an old pattern without grabbing hold of something new is just free fall. And that's what happens to so many people. They release the old habit. They feel that surge of hope, that clarity, and then slowly the emptiness seeps back in because they removed something without replacing it with something of equal or greater weight. A life without direction will always gravitate towards the nearest escape. So the 4th step isn't just about release, it's about replacement. It's about building an anchor. This is one of the most potent forces in the entire process of transformation. Viktor Frankl, a psychiatrist who endured the unspeakable horrors of the concentration camps, observed something that changed the way we understand human resilience. He noticed that those who survived, those who kept their inner flame alive, were not the physically strongest. They were the ones who had a why. They had a meaning, a purpose, a reason to endure that transcended the suffering itself. He called this concept logotherapy, and he wrote about it in his masterpiece, Man's Search for Meaning. His central thesis was this: he who has a why to live for can bear almost any how. This applies directly to our struggle, because this internal force thrives in a vacuum of purpose. It colonizes the empty spaces where meaning should reside. It becomes the default anchor when you haven't consciously chosen one for yourself. The moment you build a real anchor, a genuine reason to show up for your life, this force is dethroned. It is no longer the most important thing in your day. Something else claims that throne. So what is an anchor? It isn't something grand or world-changing. It is something personal, something that, when you wake up, gives you a reason to move forward that is larger than your cravings. For some, it is creation, writing, building, painting, coding, bringing something into existence that wasn't there before. For others, it is service, being present for a loved one, contributing to a community, helping someone who is struggling. For others, it is simply growth itself. The daily practice of becoming more disciplined, more knowledgeable, more kind. The anchor doesn't have to be impressive. It just has to be real to you. Here is how you find it. Sit with yourself honestly and ask this question. If this internal struggle were suddenly gone, what would I pour my energy into instead? That answer is your anchor. It might be something you've neglected for years. It might be something you've never dared to try. It doesn't matter. That's where your energy belongs. And here is the crucial part. You don't wait until the struggle is over to start building. You build it now, in the middle of the storm. Because the anchor isn't something you grab onto after you're free. It is the very thing that sets you free. Every minute you spend on your anchor is a minute this force doesn't get. Every ounce of energy you invest in meaning is an ounce it cannot steal. Over time, the balance shifts. The anchor becomes heavier, more rooted than the pull. And one day, you'll realize the struggle didn't end because you fought harder. It ended because you built something so much more substantial that the old pattern simply had no room left to exist. This isn't about adding another task to a busy life. This is about choosing the direction of your life. This is about deciding that your days are worth more than temporary escapes. Build your anchor, hold it close, and watch everything else begin to align. You were never meant to drift. You were meant to move with purpose. If this speaks to you, write this in the comments. I am building my anchor. Number 5, the surrender. End the internal war. The most inescapable prison is the one you build yourself in the name of freedom. And this is the tragic trap for so many. They turn their inner life into a battlefield. They fight, they resist, they clench their fists against every arising thought. And slowly, without noticing, the fighting itself becomes the cage. Because a person at war with themselves can never know peace. And without peace, there is no freedom, only a different kind of suffering dressed in armor. So the fifth and final principle is the most paradoxical and the most liberating. It is called the surrender, and it does not mean giving up. Let that sink in. When people hear the word surrender, they tense up. It sounds like defeat. It sounds like weakness. But true surrender is not weakness. It is the highest form of courage. It is the moment you stop fighting a battle that was never meant to be fought. It is the moment you unclench your fists and realize your hands have been numb for years. Epictetus, the Stoic sage, taught, "It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters." And the application of this to our inner world is profound. You stop treating every wave of desire as a crisis. You stop treating yourself as the enemy. You stop piling shame and judgment onto an already heavy experience. And in that space, in the space where the war finally ends, something heals. Something that has been wounded for a long time begins to mend. Here is what surrender looks like in practice. It doesn't mean you stop caring about your growth. It doesn't mean you become passive. It means you stop believing that the only path to freedom is through constant struggle. It means you allow yourself to be exactly where you are right now without adding the weight of where you think you should be. Because here is a truth that is almost never spoken. The pressure you put on yourself to be perfect, to never slip, to conquer this thing overnight, that pressure itself is fuel for the fire. The tighter you grip, the more it resists. The more you hate yourself for feeling it, the more it feeds on that hatred. This force doesn't just feed on desire, it feeds on inner conflict. And the greatest inner conflict most people carry is the war they are waging against themselves. So the surrender is about ending that war, not with a dramatic flourish, but with a quiet, honest exhale, a whispered acknowledgement that says, "I am here, I am human, I am not broken, and I don't have to fight myself anymore to become free." Practice this. When the pull comes, and it will, don't immediately resist. Don't immediately engage. Just breathe. Let the feeling exist without giving it meaning, without building a story around it, without turning it into evidence of your failure. Just let it be there, like a cloud passing through the sky. It arrives, it will leave, and the sky remains exactly what it has always been. Vast, untouched, whole. You are the sky, not the cloud. And this, perhaps, is the most vital thing you will take from this entire journey. You are not your cravings. You are not your desires. You are not the darkest thought that has ever crossed your mind. You are the awareness in which all of these things arise and dissolve. You are the stillness beneath the storm. And no craving, no matter how loud, no matter how persistent, can ever change what you fundamentally are. The surrender is not the end of your journey. It is the beginning of your peace. It is the moment you stop running from yourself and start simply being. And in that being, in that quiet presence, you discover something that all the fighting could never give you. You discover that you were never truly broken. You were just waiting for permission to stop pretending that you were. So here it is. You have that permission now. Release the war, trust the process, and let yourself become who you have always been, beneath all the noise. Freedom doesn't always look like a victory march. Sometimes it looks like a hand, finally, gently, letting go. You stayed. You made it to the end. And that tells me something profound about who you are. You didn't scroll away. You didn't give in to the urge to distract yourself. You sat here with these words, with yourself. And that takes a courage most people will never understand. So let me leave you with this. You came here carrying something heavy, something you've carried for longer than you'd like to admit. And maybe, in this moment, that weight hasn't completely vanished. That's okay. Freedom is not always a lightning strike. Sometimes it's a slow dawn. It doesn't arrive all at once. It arrives one breath at a time. You now hold 5 keys within you: the power to witness without fighting, the courage to dialogue with your own void, the ability to rewrite your neural narratives, the wisdom to build an anchor of meaning, and the grace to surrender the war you never needed to fight. These are not just steps, they are doors, and you have opened them. What you walk through next is entirely your choice. The Stoics believed that we are not defined by what happens to us, but by who we choose to become in response. And you are choosing right now, in this very moment. You are choosing to become someone who is no longer controlled by something that once felt inescapable. And that choice, that single, quiet, powerful choice, is the most important one you will make today. You are not what you have craved. You are not what you have chased. You are not the version of yourself that felt stuck and convinced that this was permanent. You are something far greater. You are someone who looked into the darkness and said, "I see you, but you do not own me." And that is everything. So like this video, drop a comment with the word that resonates most. Share this with someone who needs to hear it tonight. Subscribe to Stoic Mindset Mastery, because this conversation is just beginning. And I will be here showing up for you the same way you showed up for yourself today. The old battle is over. The real journey starts now, and you are ready. You have already won the hardest fight. Leave this as your final declaration in the comments. I am free.